If your creative results are inconsistent, it's not your talent, it's your system. Let's fix it. This is you. A CMO is dealing with two black boxes. First one everybody's familiar with, platform algorithm. So we don't know what's happening inside that black box, but they do give us very clear KPIs. And we've discussed what those KPIs are in previous videos. This is where we defined the asset win or lose. The problem is, first, what is the definition of creativity? It's finding a new way from A to B, right? A new way to get from point A to point B that you've not experienced before. So that is what a creative does. The term I keep hearing from recruiters is that my creative team is just created to be creative. So how do you keep your creatives creative? Because we want them to be creative, because when creatives are creative, that's where we get those big bangers. The ads that win come from creatives that are creative. But the problem is the hit rate is like 1 in 100, 2 in 100. So making creative is really expensive. Human time is really expensive. The second black box is the creative mind. The reason creatives don't stay within their briefs and take extra long is because usually a creative is just sitting there trying to figure out how to get from point A to point B in a way they've not gotten there before, right? And when you give a creative just a blank slate, there's just too many variables and too many things. As someone who has been creative in this process for a long time, if you give me a blank slate with nothing to work from, there's no telling what you're going to get, right? Because what's going to happen is I'm going to sit here until I have an idea, and then I'm going to start executing that idea. And then the first version of that is going to spark a new version, another version, another version. The final output of the creative is usually anything like what we initially came up with. Lots of times you just physically can't come up with these ideas until you start to see it come to life. And what you saw in your head playing in your brain when you wrote the brief isn't always what comes out from the creative team. I mean, if you break down a movie, the worst thing a director could do is to expect the outcome to be exactly the way envisioned in their head, because there's too many people involved executing. And if you prescribe everything before they get started, then the end product lacks creativity because it's literally limited to the prescriptive brief. And that is just the beautiful creative process. So creative minds, I'll change this color here. So we broke down the black box. It is the algorithm. Now let's break down the black box that is the creative mind. The creative mind has two sets of levers that impact the results. The first set of levers is messaging levers. So it starts with a key message. Every frame has to be selling, and the way you determine if the frame is selling is it has to answer one question. When you look at that frame, what is the one key message you want the viewer to take from watching that video or seeing that frame? But that's your key message. The next layer is the problem solution. This is the problem that causes the consumer to engage with your brand, and this is the solution that your brand is providing for the customer. So that's your problem solution. This is usually a combo stated as this is a problem, and then this product is my solution. The next lever in messaging we have is benefits. So this is quite simply, what is life like after you've taken the product, you've bought the product, you've consumed the product, whatever it is. What is life like after the product from the user's perspective? What are the life benefits that they receive after purchasing from your brand? The next thing is credibility. Credibility can be authority. This could be an expert, or it could just be a guru. The next lever after credibility is proof. And this can be in the form of a demonstration. It can also be in the form of social proof. And the final one that we're going to cover here is urgency. Typically in your call to action, this would be a coupon, a time sensitive, seasonality, etc., urgency. So these are the key pillars I like to track in the creative process. Key message, problem solution, benefit, credibility, proof, urgency. These are the main levers we have to manipulate the results. Did they stop, watch, click, buy? Did we profit? These are the main creative lanes that we can give creatives to be creative within. And if we can dial them down and say, hey, today we're going to work on the stop rate, attention, and benefits. Let's do scroll stoppers and hooks that hammer home the benefit of the product, right? So these are ways you can kind of give a creative a lane to be creative within. The next thing to break down here is the editor's levers. So the actual execution levers that the editor uses to execute the creative. You start with your A-roll, specifically video with audio attached. Typically the main person talking. If no A-roll, it's VO driven. B-roll is picture without audio. And this B-roll is, I mean, we all know what B-roll is. A-roll is the person talking, it's sit down interview, footage of the interview, the person talking to the camera, and the B-roll is the cutaway of them walking through the park. After A-roll and B-roll, we have captions, literally just the words being said on the screen. Lots of times they're done with karaoke, traditional closed caption type, and there's lots of different designs and styles. The next one down would be callouts. These are graphics we use to call out benefits like, quick results, immediate results. That's a call out. That's anything that's not being directly said in a caption, but we will usually stylize it, but it's a call out graphic. The next layer that we play with is scroll stopper. I specifically refer to the scroll stopper as the visual treatment to the first 3 seconds. If you remember, the did they stop metric is tied to 3 seconds. Did they watch the first 3 seconds? That's why we tie this to the scroll stopper. The visual treatment can make them stop. The hook statement is, I like to tie that back to did they watch, because that kind of judges the impact of what the statement had, and did it keep them watching? Did it pique their interest? Right? We also have end cards, or I think very underrated. If you've got someone watching your asset, watching your ad, your video, and they get all the way to the end, the average watch time is 7 to 8 seconds. So if you've got a 60-second ad and they get all the way to the end, that person is engaged, interested in what you're talking about. You've grabbed their attention, piqued their interest, and you got all the way to the end, and you failed to push their desire over the edge so that they click and get out of the platform. When we're on social media, we are operating at a 4th grade level. Regardless of our actual intellect, when if you tell somebody what to do, they are more likely to do it. So put full screen graphics at the end, hammer home benefits, give them something to do, tell them what they're going to receive from it. But these are the end cards. Full screen graphics at the end of the piece. Then we get into the audio. And of course we have voiceover. If you've got a headless UGC, you would use a voiceover for that. So that's where you record just the voice with no picture. The music and sound effects. These, by all means, are not the only pieces. There's also transitions and effects and different things that you can compound, but these are the main levers the creative team has access to. Now we have clear messaging levers, editing levers, and result. So the cool thing with this, once you define the levers and you understand what the levers are, then this will give you the ability to communicate with your creatives, to understand what is happening inside the black box that is their mind. And the incredible thing that will happen when you start communicating to your team with the data and using the levers they understand, right? You can gamify the entire experience with your creative team. Say, hey guys, the account is suffering from clicks. The click-through rate is below average. We need to improve the desire that the customers feel after watching the ads. Then go in and give them a clear lane. We're going to try the key message here and change this key message. Give them the 3 lanes, the levers they're allowed to pull, and say, hey, we're going to try different problem solution combos. Let's try 4 within the scroll stopper treatment to improve the desire. And you'll have 4 or 5 editors cranking through your content with that intent. At the end of the week, when they see the results the following week, they're then going to look and they will be able to see in a leaderboard if their actions, their creative decisions were moving the needle for that click-through rate. And it's going to then, when they win, it's going to create excitement. And when they lose, it's going to create more desire on their side to improve their performance. And it benefits the business because when it wins, we profit and make money. You can keep guessing or you can start scaling. If you're serious about building creative that actually performs, book a call and let's crack your black box wide open.